I wake up gasping, certain Senator Voss is in my house. I'm Jack Harper, 48, ex-bodyguard, and I spent years shielding a man I thought was a hero, only to learn he's a monster. I lied for him, and that lie owns me, my job, my peace, my soul gone. Here's what happened, raw and unfiltered, because I can't keep it in anymore. 6 years ago, I was 42, ex-military, built like a tank, proud to protect Senator Daniel Voss at a DC gala. He was a star, charismatic, all handshakes and hope. I stood by him, scanning the crowd, my Iraq-honed instincts sharp. His speech about unity had the room roaring. I felt like I was guarding the future. But in the VIP room after, his mask slipped. He hissed at his aide, Lila, over spilled wine, his voice venomous, eyes cold. She froze, nodded, and fled. I told myself it was just stress. Big men snap sometimes, right? That moment stuck, though, like grit in a wound. My job was clear: keep Voss safe. Rallies, fundraisers, secret meetings. I was his shadow, and I was damn good. No threat got close. Voss called me Jackie. Slapped my back like we were pals. I ate it up, felt seen. My life before was rough: Ohio kid, drunk dad, runaway mom, army at 18 to escape. Bodyguarding gave me purpose, loyalty, vigilance, silence. Voss made me feel my work mattered. But that gala night cracks showed. His sharp glances, the way staff flinched when he passed. Lila's hands shook handing him papers. I brushed it off: politics, high stakes, nothing more. I was so wrong. Here's the twist: I'm still terrified of him. Voss isn't just a crooked politician. His power lingers like a noose. I quit 3 years ago, but I check my locks twice nightly, heart pounding. I've got no proof, but I feel him watching. I lied for him once, and it's like he's got me caged. Cops won't believe a washed-up guard over a senator. My sister Elena calls me paranoid, but she doesn't know what I saw, what I did. I'm writing this to claw my way out of the nightmares, to tell someone, even if it's just this page. I don't know if I'll ever shake him, but I still check the locks, every damn night. I started with Voss in 2017, right as his star was rising. He was a senator from Virginia, mid-50s, with a smile that could sell ice to penguins. My job was to keep him safe, crowd control at rallies, escorting him through DC's maze of power, standing watch at late-night meetings. I loved it. The adrenaline, the purpose. I'd grown up in Ohio with nothing: dad's whiskey breath, mom gone by 12, so the army gave me structure, and bodyguarding gave me pride. Voss made it electric. He'd stride into a room, all charm, and I'd be there, 6'2", 220 pounds, earpiece in, scanning for trouble. People noticed me, respected me. I wasn't just muscle, I was his shield. The routine was tight. Mornings, I'd meet Voss at his Georgetown townhouse, go over his schedule with Tom Rourke, my agency manager. Tom was a hard-ass, 50s, all about the bottom line, but he trusted me. We'd map out routes, check venues, coordinate with local cops. Voss's world was glamorous: fundraisers with champagne, donors and Rolexes, speeches that felt like history. He'd call me Jackie, tell stories about his kids, make me feel like his right-hand man. I bought it, every word. Lila, his aide, was always there, 30s, sharp, with a nervous edge I didn't clock then. She'd hand off schedules, avoid eye contact. I figured she was just stressed, juggling Voss's chaos. But there were hints, even then. Voss's charm had a switch. He'd be laughing with donors, then snap at Lila for a wrong coffee order, his voice low, cutting. I'd catch her flinch, but I told myself it was normal: high stakes, big egos. Once, at a rally, he grabbed my arm, whispered to watch a reporter in the crowd, said the guy was trouble. I nodded, did my job, but the reporter just asked tough questions. I shrugged it off. Politics, right? I was good at my job, and Voss needed me. That's what I thought. I didn't see the strings he was pulling, how he was playing everyone, including me. I was too caught up in the rush, the pride of being indispensable. Looking back, I was a fool, but it felt so damn good. The first time I saw Voss's true face, it broke something in me. I'm spilling this because I can't carry it anymore. The moment I lied for him, when I started doubting my own eyes. Here's how it went down, raw and ugly. It was 2018, a year into guarding Senator Voss. I was still high on being his shadow, believing I was protecting a good man. We were at a fundraiser in Richmond, some swanky hotel ballroom, all chandeliers and fake laughs. I was posted by the exit, scanning the crowd, when Voss slipped into a side room with Lila, his aide. She'd been jumpy all night, dropping papers, fumbling her phone. I figured it was her usual nerves. Voss's schedule was brutal. But something felt wrong, so I followed, quiet, just doing my job. Through the door crack I saw it. Voss had Lila pinned against the wall, not touching her, but his face inches from hers, spitting words I couldn't hear but felt, sharp, cruel. Then he slapped her, hard, the sound like a crack in my skull. Lila gasped, hand to her cheek, eyes wide with fear. I froze, heart hammering. I'd seen violence in Iraq, but this was different, cold, personal. Voss straightened his tie, walked out, and saw me. Lila tripped, hit her face. He said, calm as hell. Help her up, yeah? His eyes locked on mine, daring me to challenge him. I went in. Lila was on the floor, shaking, mascara streaking. I'm fine, she whispered, voice breaking. I helped her up, hands clumsy, mind screaming. I wanted to ask what happened, but her eyes begged silence. Back in the ballroom, Voss was all smiles, charming donors. I stood there, gut twisting, telling myself it was a one-off, a bad night. But when my agency boss, Tom, asked later, I choked. She tripped, I said, parroting Voss. Tom nodded, didn't blink. Good man. Keep it tight. I felt sick, like I'd swallowed glass. That lie was the first crack. I started questioning everything, Voss's charm, my loyalty, what I saw. Was I wrong? Lila wouldn't talk, just kept her head down. I told myself it wasn't my place, that I was there to protect, not judge. But at night, I'd replay that slap, her flinch, my silence. I was good at my job, but what was I protecting? That moment planted a seed of doubt that grew like rot. I still see Lila's face, and it kills me that I didn't speak up. I keep telling myself it wasn't what it looked like. That slap, Lila's trembling, I must have misread it. I'm writing this to sort out the mess in my head, because after that night, I drowned in shame and confusion, and I let them pull me under. Here's what happened next. After the Richmond fundraiser, I was a wreck. I kept seeing Lila's face, the red mark blooming on her cheek, but I pushed it down. Voss was back to his golden self the next day, shaking hands at a town hall, joking with me about my bad coffee taste. You gotta try espresso, man. He laughed, like nothing happened. I forced a grin, my stomach churning. I wanted to believe it was a fluke, that stress made him snap. He was a senator, a family man. Guys like that don't just hit people. Right. I clung to that, because the alternative meant I'd been blind, that my loyalty was a lie. Lila avoided me. At briefings, she'd hand me schedules without looking up, her fingers twitchy. I tried asking once, casual. You okay after last night? She froze, muttered, fine, just clumsy, and walked away. Her voice was hollow, like she was reciting a script. I should have pushed, but I didn't. I was scared, of what it meant, of losing my job. Instead, I focused on the routine, checking exits, scanning crowds, keeping Voss safe. That's what I was paid for, not to play detective. Then Tom, my agency boss, pulled me aside after a DC event. Heard about Lila's little stumble, he said, eyes narrow. You saw it, right? She's fine, just needs to watch her step. His tone wasn't a question, it was a warning. I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, she tripped. The lie tasted worse the second time, like bile. Tom clapped my shoulder. Smart. We don't need rumors messing up a good gig. I felt like a coward, complicit. Was I crazy? Had I seen it wrong? Voss's charm, Tom's pressure, they twisted my head until I doubted my own memory. The shame was heavy. I'd prided myself on being a protector. Ex-army, all about honor. But there I was, covering for a man who hurt someone. At night, I'd lie awake, replaying Lila's flinch, wondering if I'd failed her. I told myself it was one mistake, that I'd be ready next time. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself as much as I'd lied to Tom. I was in too deep, and the truth felt like a trap I couldn't escape. The signs were screaming, but I kept my eyes shut. Every day, I saw more of Voss's rot, and I did nothing. I'm writing this to face the coward I was, because the truth was piling up, and I just let it bury me. Here's how it got worse. After the Richmond incident, I couldn't unsee Lila's fear, but I stayed in line. Voss was smooth, charming crowds while I scanned for threats, pretending everything was fine. But the cracks kept showing. At a DC dinner, I overheard him on a call in a back room, voice low, talking about moving funds and keeping it quiet. He saw me, smiled, said it was campaign stuff. I nodded, but my gut churned. Campaign funds don't sound like secrets you whisper at midnight. I told myself it was above my pay grade, just politics. Lila's warnings got bolder. Once, slipping me a schedule, she muttered, "Watch his meetings with Carver." Carver was a donor, slick suit, shark eyes, always around. I caught them in a hotel suite, passing a thick envelope. Voss laughed it off as consulting fees, but Lila's glance screamed trouble. I didn't ask. I kept my head down, checking exits, doing my job. But at night, I'd lie awake, piecing it together, bribes, maybe worse. Was I guarding a criminal? Then there was the rally in Norfolk. Voss was late, unusual for him. I found him in a green room, yelling at a staffer, some kid who forgot a cue. He grabbed the kid's arm, hard, then saw me and let go, all smiles. "Just motivating the team," he said. The kid scurried off, pale. Lila was there, her eyes meeting mine for a split second, pleading. She slipped me a note later. "Be careful." I shoved it in my pocket, heart racing. Careful of what? Voss? Someone else? I wanted to confront her, but fear stopped me, fear of the truth, of losing everything. Tom, my agency boss, kept the pressure on. "Don't overthink, just protect," he'd say, like he knew I was wavering. The stakes were climbing. I saw too much, envelopes, hushed calls, scared staff, but I stayed silent. My job, my life, depended on Voss. If I spoke up, what then? No proof, just suspicions, and a senator's word against mine. I was trapped, drowning in doubt, knowing the truth but too scared to act. Lila's note burned in my pocket, and I hated myself for ignoring it. Everything shattered the night of the attack. I thought I was saving Voss, but it was all a lie, a test to keep me in line. I'm writing this because that moment forced me to see the truth, and I can't unsee it. Here's how it broke me open. It was late 2018, a campaign rally in Arlington. The crowd was electric, chanting Voss's name under stadium lights. I was on edge, Lila's note, "Be careful," still burning in my pocket. I scanned the sea of faces, my training kicking in, watched for sudden moves, hidden hands. Then it happened. A guy in a black hoodie surged forward, something glinting in his hand. I didn't think, just acted. I tackled him, pinned him to the ground, my knee on his chest. The crowd screamed, security swarmed, and I hauled the guy to a holding area. Voss was rushed off stage, unharmed. I thought I'd done my job. But something was off. The weapon was a cheap knife, barely sharp, like a prop. The guy didn't fight back, just smirked. I overheard Voss in the green room later on a call. "Good work." He played his part. My stomach dropped. Played his part? I slipped into the shadows, ear to the door. Voss was talking to Tom, my agency boss. "The guard's loyal," Voss said. "Test passed." Tom laughed. "Told you he'd jump?" It hit me like a punch. The attack was staged. They wanted to see if I'd protect Voss, if I'd stay silent about what I'd seen, Lila's slap, the envelopes, the threats. I went numb. All this time, I'd been a pawn. Voss wasn't just corrupt, he was playing me, testing my loyalty to keep me complicit. I saw Lila outside, her eyes red, avoiding mine. "You knew," I whispered. She shook her head, barely, and walked away. I wanted to scream, to confront Voss, but fear glued my feet. What could I do? I had no proof, just a fake knife and a gut screaming I'd been used. My job was to protect, but I was protecting a lie. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying Voss's voice, the smirk on that guy's face. I wasn't a bodyguard anymore, I was an accomplice. The truth was a blade, and it cut deep. I walked away from Voss, but the fallout clung to me like damp rot. Quitting was the only move after that staged attack, but it cost me everything, my crew, my purpose, my safety. I'm writing this because I need to face the wreckage, how it broke me and showed me who stood by me. Here's what came next. The day after the Arlington rally, I couldn't look at Voss without seeing his smirk, hearing, "Test passed." I called Tom, my agency boss, and told him I was done. "You're throwing away a good gig," he snapped, voice like gravel. Voss won't like this. I hung up, hands shaking, and packed my gear. I thought I'd feel free, but instead, I felt exposed, like a target. My phone buzzed that night, unknown number, heavy breathing, then a click. No words, but the message was clear. I was being watched. I started sleeping with a knife under my pillow, checking the locks 3 times. My old crew turned cold. Guys I'd worked with for years, shared beers with, stopped answering my texts. One, Mikey, met me for coffee but wouldn't look me in the eye. You stirred shit up, he muttered. Agency's pissed. He said Tom spread word I'd cracked under pressure, couldn't hack it. Betrayal stung worse than the threats. I trusted those guys, bled for the job, and now I was a pariah. Lila was gone too, quit or fired, I didn't know. I tried calling her, but her number was dead. I felt like I'd failed her again, leaving her in Voss's world. Then my sister Elena showed up. We hadn't talked much since I left Ohio, but she drove to my apartment, eyes sharp, nurse's scrubs still on. You look like hell, she said. I told her everything, Lila's slap, the bribes, the fake attack. She didn't hug me, just listened, then said, You knew and you stayed. Now what? Her words cut, but she was right. She was the only one who didn't turn away, pushing me to do something, anything, to make it right. But Voss's shadow loomed. Another call came, same heavy breathing, then a low voice. Stay quiet. I was alone, except for Elena, and even she couldn't shield me from the fear that I'd crossed a man who never lost. I was running, not from bullets but from shadows. After quitting, the world felt like a trap, and I saw Voss's game clear as day. I'm writing this because that pressure burned away my excuses, and I finally understood what I was up against. Here's how it went down, heart pounding. I'd been off the job a week, holed up in my apartment, blinds drawn. The threatening calls kept coming, silent, then a grunt or a whispered, Watch it! I stopped answering my phone, but the fear didn't stop. One night, walking to my car, I caught a guy in a dark jacket tailing me, too close for coincidence. I ducked into an alley, pulse racing, and lost him, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Voss's reach was real, and I was his loose end. I started piecing it together, Lila's warnings, the fake attack, the envelopes. He wasn't just a corrupt senator. He was running a machine, bribes, intimidation, maybe worse. I remembered Carver, that donor with shark eyes, and the consulting fees. It wasn't just money, it was power, bought and paid for. Elena pushed me to think. You've got something on him, she said over coffee, her nurse's stare cutting through my fog. Use it. I didn't have proof, just fragments. Lila's note, the fake knife, overheard calls. But under pressure, it clicked. Voss staged the attack to test me, to keep me quiet about his dirty deals. I started digging, low-key, checking old schedules I'd kept. Dates lined up, Carver's meetings, late-night calls, staffers quitting fast. It was a pattern, a web, and I'd been guarding its center. I couldn't stay still. I moved to a cheap motel, cash only, no trail. One night, a car idled outside too long, headlights glaring. I grabbed my bag, slipped out the back, heart in my throat. I wasn't safe, but the fear sharpened me. I knew Voss's game now, control through fear, loyalty through lies. I wasn't a hero, but I wasn't his pawn anymore. I had to act, even if it meant risking everything. Elena was right. I had to use what I knew, or I'd never stop running. I couldn't run forever, so I chose to fight, quietly, on my terms. Confronting Voss and leaking what I knew was like stepping off a cliff, but I had to. I'm writing this because that moment was when I took back some piece of myself, even if it cost me. Here's how I risked it all. I'd been hiding in that motel for days, jumping at every creak, but Elena's words kept echoing. Use what you know. I had scraps, Lila's note, old schedules showing Carver's shady meetings, a photo of that fake knife from the attack. Not enough for cops, but enough to rattle Voss. I tracked down a contact, an old army buddy, Sam, who worked as a private investigator. No media, no cops, just someone I trusted. I slipped him copies of everything, told him to hold on to it, maybe pass it to someone clean if things went south. He didn't ask questions, just nodded. Be careful, he said. I was way past careful. Then I did the insane thing. I called Voss's office, left a message for a private meet, no security, just us. He agreed, too fast, which scared me. We met at a quiet diner outside DC, 2 a.m., the kind of place with sticky tables and burned coffee. I sat across from him, his face all charm, like old times. "You've been jumpy," he said, sipping coffee, eyes like knives. I laid it out: Lila's slap, the bribes, the staged attack. "I've got proof," I lied, my voice steady. "Walk away, or it gets out." His smile didn't budge, but his hand tightened on the mug. "You're out of your depth," he said low. "Nobody'll believe you." I leaned in. "They don't need to. I just need one person to listen." He stared, then laughed, cold. "You're done," he said, and left. I didn't sleep after. I'd poked the bear, and I knew he'd hit back. Sam got the evidence to a small-time lawyer, someone outside Voss's reach, but I told him to sit on it. No headlines, no noise. This was personal. I'd confronted the monster and walked away breathing, but I'd lit a fuse. I didn't know if it had burned me or him, but I'd finally done something. I thought confronting Voss would change something, but the world kept spinning, and I'm still looking over my shoulder. Nothing wrapped up clean, the fallout just lingers, heavy and gray. I'm writing this because I need to face the mess I'm in. No heroes, no endings, just dread. Here's how it's been. After that diner meet, I stayed low, moving between motels, using cash, keeping my head down. Voss didn't go down, no headlines, no investigations. The lawyer Sam passed the evidence to said it wasn't enough, not without more witnesses or hard proof. Lila was still gone, unreachable, and I wondered if she was safe or silenced. My old life was ash, no job, no crew, just Elena checking in, bringing takeout and tough love. "You did what you could," she said, but her eyes didn't lie. She knew I was still running, not living. I leaked what I had, confronted the man, but it changed nothing. Voss was still out there, untouchable, his smile on every news channel. The threats didn't stop. A break through my motel window one night, no note, just glass on the floor. Another call, same heavy breathing, then a laugh, low and mean. I stopped answering, got a burner phone, but the fear stuck like damp clothes. I'd walk streets at night, hood up, checking reflections in shop windows for tales. Once I swore I saw that guy from the fake attack, his smirk in a crowd, but he vanished. Was it him? My mind? I couldn't tell anymore. Paranoia was my new shadow, and Voss's power felt like it stretched everywhere, every car that lingered, every stranger's glance. Elena tried to ground me. "Move away, start over," she urged, but I couldn't. If I ran, I'd always be running. I kept Sam's number close, checking in, asking if the lawyer had moved on the evidence. "Not yet," he'd say, voice tight. I wanted to believe something would break. That Voss would slip, but deep down, I knew he was too slick. The dread was constant, like a hum in my bones. I'd gambled, confronted him, and now I was marked, living half a life, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I've stopped waiting for the world to fix itself. Voss is still out there, untouched, and I'm just a ghost in my own life, carrying the weight of what I did and didn't do. I'm writing this because there's no ending here, no justice, just me, accepting I'll never be safe. Here's how it sits now, heavy and final. I'm still in motels, different ones each week, my bag always packed. Elena visits when she can, her nurse's patience fraying as she begs me to leave the country. "You're killing yourself," she says, but I can't run far enough to escape Voss's shadow. The threats keep coming. Another slashed tire last week, a note under my door that just said, "Quiet." I don't know if it's Voss or his machine, but it doesn't matter. They know where I am, always. I check my burner phone for Sam's updates, but the lawyer's gone silent, probably scared off. The evidence I leak sits somewhere, gathering dust, useless without someone braver than me. I think about Lila every day. Did she get out? Is she alive? Her face, that flinch, haunts me more than the threats. I should have done more, said something that night in Richmond. Instead, I protected a monster, let his charm blind me, and even now, after confronting him, I'm the one paying. Voss is on TV, smiling, shaking hands, while I'm dodging shadows, sleeping with one eye open. Elena says I'm obsessed, that I need to let it go, but letting go feels like letting him win. I can't. I won't. But I'm tired, bone deep, and the fear never leaves. It's in every creak, every stranger's glance, every night I lie awake, waiting. There's no redemption here. I stood up, leaked what I knew, faced him, but the world didn't change. I'm not a hero, just a man who saw too much and did too little, too late. I'll keep moving, keep watching, because stopping feels like dying. I still check the back seat of my car every time I get in.